Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Sheasley. I'm a psychotherapist and an executive coach and founder of EPC Leadership, Executive Performance Coaching. I work with CEOs, founders, leadership teams on the inner side of performance, helping people stay steady under pressure, making clear decisions, and keeping execution strong when conditions get hard. So today we're going to talk about something that almost everyone runs into, especially high performers. And that's how to stay motivated when work gets tough. Because when work gets hard, motivation doesn't usually disappear overnight. It actually erodes over time, often through repeated friction, unclear priorities, constant urgency, and political drag, or if the demands are too high with little recovery. And then people start to say things like, I'm burned out, I feel flat, I'm doing everything and nothing is moving. So I did this video to make things a bit more practical about motivation. Motivation, again, is not a personality trait, it's a system. And when work gets tough, that system needs structure. So I encourage folks to start with a prime question. What's making this hard right now? So before you try to push through, I want you to ask yourself, what exactly is making this hard? Because work is tough, as they say, work's tough. I think it's too global, and vague problems drain motivation faster than the real problem. And so some common answers that I often come across is I can't see progress, everything feels urgent, I'm carrying too much of the workload alone, the goalpost keeps moving, I don't feel appreciated, and I'm unclear on what matters the most. Motivation improves when the struggle becomes specific, right? So we want to separate two things, energy versus meaning. Most people treat motivation like one thing, and so it's usually two. Energy equals, do I have fuel? And meaning is, do I care enough to keep going? When work gets tough, people often try to fix meaning with willpower. But if your energy is depleted, meaning won't land. So I have folks ask yourself two questions. Am I tired or am I discouraged? Do I need rest or do I need direction? That one distinction stops you from treating burnout like a character flaw. So rebuilding motivation through traction, not inspiration, is what we're after here. Because when work is hard, motivation doesn't come from hype. It comes from movement. So I encourage folks to use this rule. So make the next step small enough that you can't argue with it. So instead of finish the whole project, do this. Write the first paragraph, draft the first email, make the first call, outline bullet points. There, how your brain relearns, effort leads to progress. So motivation follows attraction. So I have a 3-lane focus to reduce sense of overwhelm. And so when the work gets tough, the problem is often overload, not laziness. So I've helped folks create 3 lanes. So the first thing, right, the one thing, the single priority that must move this week. The lane 2 is the maintenance. So the minimum necessary to keep things stable. And lane 3, which is noise. So everything that feels urgent but doesn't change outcomes. Okay? Then ask yourself, if I only move one thing forward this week, what is it? This protects motivation because it restores a sense of control. And so motivation drops when you feel alone. So we want to build contact. When work gets tough, isolation makes it worse. So this is especially true for leaders who carry presence quietly. And so a simple relational move is, who is one person I can get real with about what's hard and what I need? That could mean asking for clarity, for asking for help with the decision, naming a capacity limit, even getting a second brain on the problem. So motivation isn't just internal, it's also relational. And that support reduces the drag you might experience. So you want to keep your standards without turning them into a weapon. High performers often lose motivation when they can't hit their own standard, and they start self-attacking. And so instead of I should be doing more, I want you to reframe this as what would good enough look like this week given reality? And this isn't lowering your standards, it's adjusting the aim so that you can keep moving without breaking yourself. Because we also want to protect your nervous system from this chronic sense of urgency. Because here's a hard truth. If everything is urgent, your brain can't prioritize. And so motivation gets replaced with survival mode. And so use one sentence that changes your week. What is truly urgent and what is simply loud? Then create one boundary. A no meeting block, a shutdown time, a limit on after hours responding, a not this week list. Because consistency is motivating. And people do better with clarity, purpose, and steadiness, including you. And so we want to reconnect to meaning without being dramatic, right? So you don't need a life mission statement. You need a short answer to why does this matter specifically? Because this protects my team, because this keeps the business stable, because this gives me freedom later, because I don't want to quit on myself. Meaning is often simple. It's just been buried under all the noise. So the two questions that restore motivation fast when you feel stuck is one, what's the smallest step I can take in the next 20 minutes? And what's the one conversation I'm avoiding that would make this easier? So most motivation problems are either a traction problem or an avoidant conversation problem. And so the core distinction is that motivation isn't something you wait for, it's something you have to rebuild. You rebuild through clarity, through traction, support, boundaries, meaning. Work ultimately gets tough, and that's normal. And so the goal isn't to stay excited, the goal is to stay steady. So before we close, I always have 3 questions. 1, what's making this hard specifically? 2, do I need rest or do I need redirection or direction? And 3, what's the smallest win I can create today to restart traction? For those of you listening, if this resonates, especially for my high performers, leaders, and teams, I share more tools like this around resilience and clarity and execution through the lens of my proprietary inner architecture, strategic alignment, and adaptive leadership. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.